Let's go back to Canada. And Canadians are voting today in what is said to be a pivotal federal elections. The elections come in the backdrop of President Trump's call to make Canada the 51st state of the United States of America. Let's talk about this election. And joining us now is Harrison Faulkner, who is a journalist and is our ground reporter in Toronto. Harrison, good to see you again. Maybe let's start talking about the numbers. How is the voter turnout so far, in your view?
So far, what we have now is data for pre-election day voting, early voting, and we've seen over 7 million ballots cast in the pre-election voting period, which is a major improvement to Canada's record low voter turnout, which we saw in 2021. Typically, a high voter turnout is stronger for the challenger. That would be good for Pierre Poilievre in this case. The polling, however, does not indicate that. Right now, leading into the election, leading into today, what we see is a shrinking Liberal lead. The Liberals holding on to a lead of about 3 points. They were up much higher than that, but don't forget this, that the Conservatives just 3 months ago had a 25-point lead. That lead has evaporated, and it's now become a very tight election. High voter turnout so far. What I've seen on the ground at the polling location behind me and at a polling location in northern Toronto has been high enthusiasm, high voter turnout, and typically that is good for the challenger. Whether or not we see that play out in the results later today is to be seen.
Harrison, very quickly, you did mention the enthusiasm of voters. I just want us to talk about that enthusiasm further and the anticipation by Canadians when it comes to Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre.
Well, the ballot question in this election is obviously, who do Canadians think will be the best leader to take on and handle the annexation threats and the tariff threats from Donald Trump? This is what this election is really all about. Previously, it was about affordability and about housing. Now it is all about Donald Trump, and Trump has inserted himself into this election, raising the stakes in this country and turning up enthusiasm. That seems to be what is driving people to the polls. It's also what is keeping Canadians engaged in the political process and aware of what's going on. Donald Trump is dominating the Canadian news cycle, and he has been dominating this federal election. So the voter enthusiasm is extremely high, as I said before. Now, you have, in certain instances, a different type of enthusiasm. You have a Trump-driven anger, which usually leads voters to vote for the Liberal Party, but you have enthusiasm in the leader that we're seeing with Pierre Poilievre. That's where you're seeing the tens of thousands of people showing up to a Poilievre rally, which he has been doing across the country. That's sort of a new phenomenon in our country and in our election process, these very large rallies. But make no mistake about it, Donald Trump is the ballot question here, and it is really all about which of the two leaders Canadians think will be best suited to handle Donald Trump. And if it wasn't clear, he did so. He inserted himself once again this morning, telling all Canadians that if he had it his way, Canada would be the 51st state.
All right. Harrison Faulkner, good to see you. Let's see how this election turns out. Harrison Faulkner is a reporter in Toronto. Thank you.
Thank you.